So this is part two of the gear review. Part one was basically bike-related stuff. I'm going to do part two here, which is, person-related stuff for the most part. I actually recorded this video 35 minutes worth, and apparently my phone ran out of storage and deleted it all, so I guess that was a dry run. So this is sort of my second attempt at this, but I'm sure my one subscriber will not mind. Okay, I'm just going to start. I've got basically stuff scattered all around me here. I will start sort of, I guess, maybe head down at first, but basically item number one, Schuberth C4 Pro. This was lifesaver on this trip. I started the trip with a Arai XT4, which I was agonizing over trying to make work. I could not make that helmet work on the GS. There was this weird resonance that I never figured out. It just basically was transmitting some kind of horrible sound directly into my brain. It wasn't wind. It was like something being transmitted through the bike and rattling around in my head. Earplugs didn't fix it. I just don't understand. I swapped helmets at Wunderlich, a week into the trip. They had just become a Schuberth dealer. I learned a couple of things since then about these. I thought the C4 was actually the successor to the C3. It turns out it's actually a totally different line. So the C3 and the C4 apparently are concurrent. But the C4 Pro, for whatever reason, is a different head shape that seemed to fit me really well. I'm a large in the size chart, but it was way too tight. XL was perfect. It's been perfect. It's a little bit heavier, as many people have remarked. The ventilation isn't as good as many other helmets, as also everybody kind of remarks. You got this little chin thing, which sort of does something, I guess, and the head thing, which does a little bit. There's supposedly a rear vent, at least on their diagram. I don't see a rear vent here. I don't know if there's any rear vent, but internal sunshade I absolutely love. This helmet also, for some reason, other helmets, I get horrible sunburns even through the visors. This visor, I did not get sunburn, so something good about that, I guess. The comm system, as I think many people have remarked in reviews, is just not ideal. It's a little bit janky. It's set very far back. The buttons are kind of hard to find. The audio fidelity, it comes with built-in mic and speakers, which is great, but the fidelity is not great. You can't charge this on the bike unless you run weird cables somehow all the way to your head, which no one is going to do. So if you forget to charge, you're out of luck. And that happened to me a couple of times on the trip. The ratchet enclosure instead of D-ring, I thought I would hate. I actually love it. Now I really prefer that style closure. This was a lifesaver though. Like I said, the helmet, my other helmet, I wouldn't have been able to do the trip. I'm going to try that again later this summer on a different bike and see if it helps. But this has been Gold Star. I forgot to mention this. This is basically the chin deflector. It Velcros in, which is super easy to take in and out if you need more airflow. So this was a win. I don't know, random thing to mention, I guess, but we've seen this in the other video probably. This was my hat of choice for this trip. All my friends have seen my, Lululemon camo hat, which I wear obsessively. Problem is it's firm and it was going to get screwed up if I mashed it into my bag. So this is a Faraday hat, totally collapsible. It actually fits my head. My head is a giant size apparently. So this was also a Gold Star on this trip. I guess heading, and then this was a H&M beanie. This I kept in the top case for when it got colder. I've had this forever. Gold Star on that. It was like $10 a million years ago and it still works. There's going to be a lot of weird cuts in this video. I'm not going to take the risk again of losing my my entire 45-minute thing, so I'm gonna have to check it. I tried to use a flash as an indicator, and apparently now the flash isn't working on the phone. So great. So anyway, so the next item is buffs. So I did two different buffs on this trip, which is in retrospect totally stupid, and I could have easily run one, but I used a standard buff from the company Buff that I've been using for winter riding for years, basically just as a neck gaiter to keep the wind out. That's worked super well, and I use it at the beginning of this trip because at the beginning of the trip, you know, it was still pretty chilly in the Northeast. I switched that out for this one, which is the Climb one, um, for summer riding. The cool thing about this one is the material is really, really absorbent. You soak this thing in cold water in a gas station or whatever, cinch it up, or you know, crumble it up around your neck, and you get a lot of surface area of cold water. So this one actually worked really, really well. It's a bigger, like it's a fatter. It's a fatter buff than the kinds that I've worn before. You can still do all the other stuff, like do head wraps and all of that with it. But just for the how well it did the hot weather, cold water on the neck thing, this was also a gold star. You know, still, I guess, sort of, I'm losing my go top down, so I'm going to pick random things that are all around me. Next thing was this Patagonia Nano Puff jacket. The Nano Puff was honestly the only warm weather thing that I used on the entire trip. Packs down super small. I'm not going to bother doing it now, but you know, it goes really, really small. I did not bring any other liners besides my heated gear that I'll mention later, which I basically never used. So this thing, I learned on this trip that fleece works really well for movement, and this kind of jacket works really well for, you know, standing still. I mean, in this case, I consider it standing still. I'm not active and actively sweating and stuff like that, so I don't need that, you know, amount of moisture wicking, I guess, that fleece offers. This basically, throwing it on under the arrow stitch, which I'll show later, worked super well. So gold star on this thing. You know, I also have somewhere this, which is it's just the generic REI polyester pullover. I used this sometimes also if I just needed a light layer. Between this and that, that's basically the only long sleeve stuff I brought for the entire trip. Worked super well. You know, I think the REI thing is pretty ugly, but it worked well enough and it fit me well enough. What else? This is just sitting here, I'll mention it. Early in the trip, I was having a lot of sort of muscle aches and pains. They've mostly gone away by the end, but I bought this Tidal, Tidal balm, which was very expensive and it looked super janky, like MMA sponsored, all this nonsense. It is mostly just, you know, menthol, I guess, according to this, and then a bunch of other inactive ingredient shit. But this actually worked really, really well for my upper back and lower back, really. So I don't know if that was, you know, hokey or not, but I would buy this again. It actually worked quite well. I mean, I'm holding this, so I might as well mention it. I did 2 water bottles on this trip. I started out with my normal clean canteen. The problem with the clean canteen is the bottom dents, and then it doesn't stay up, so it's constantly falling over, which is really annoying. Maybe the new models have fixed this. This one is pretty old. And the other thing is, in the tank bag, this thing is, it bakes. It's not insulated. So I got this Yeti one when I was in Austin. It's basically the same size, but it has much less surface area, I guess, inside because it's or not surface area, volume area inside because it's insulated. But this keeps stuff cool almost for too long. If you put ice in it, it just stays ice for like forever. It doesn't melt. But I'm going to switch to this for the next trip and not bring the other one. The flash just turned back on. Interesting. I wonder if it overheats. Okay, so next, I guess I will mention, you know, other sort of, I guess we can go into some summary things. So these are LD Comfort sleeves. Basically, you put them on with any other shirt. You wet them in a gas station or whatever. You can even load them with ice, and they essentially keep your extremities cool. So those in concert with this buff thing, that was kind of my, I mean, in addition to some other gear stuff, but that was my kind of like cool down stuff. Works pretty well. The other LD Comfort stuff I'm not sold on. I have an LD Comfort boxer briefs, the spandexy kind of things. I actually don't really like them at all versus just regular bike shorts. The bike shorts work better because they have some padding there. So I'm not going to bring the LD Comfort bottoms for the next segment. Same thing with the top. The LD Comfort top, it basically is just like a giant piece of spandex. I didn't really get it. So I wouldn't buy those, but those sleeves were really great. So I guess going into other summary stuff while I'm at it. So essentially what I did was actually before I get into the summer stuff, I'll just show kind of the base layout of the gear that I did 90% of the trip in. So essentially, and my phone is telling me the device is too hot, which is why it's constantly shutting down, apparently. I don't know what to do about that. Okay, so this is my main device. I'm staring at a device down there. This is my main garment for 90+% of this trip. This is an Aerostitch R3. I have such a love-hate relationship with this thing. It could be really, really good. It is not. But it could be really, really good, and I just don't understand why some of the basic things that could make it fantastic, they don't do. It just makes no sense to me. I don't even know where I could spend an entire review on this thing, and maybe I should, but like I've got probably 20,000 miles on this thing now. So I don't know where to even begin. Likes, I guess. The one-piece suit is super easy to get in and out of. Even with boots on. I struggle sometimes with the right boot, but it takes 30 seconds at most to get in and out of this, and you put on over street clothes. It's great for traveling because when you stop, you can just take it off, throw it on. I put like a cable lock through the arm, and then you can just be on your way, and the thing is secured to the bike, and you just don't have your motorcycle clothes on. That is very cool. I feel bomb-proof when I'm in this thing. I think it's like 1000D Cordura and 1000D double in the impact areas or something crazy like that. The armor pieces are enormous, so you feel quite protected with the armor. There's a million pockets. That's good and bad. I mean, some of the pockets I don't even use, but you know, plenty of storage. You know, in winter, so I got the R3 is basically their unlined suit. I love the unlined. I don't understand why anybody needs this lined. I can wear this with a t-shirt underneath down to probably 40 degrees and I'm totally fine. Who in their right mind needs lining? They used to only make this lined. Like, I can't understand how anybody could wear it. The liner would be insane. So overall, I mean, and, you know, honestly, like there's venting, there's rear venting back here. There's armpit venting, and then essentially what you do is you unzip the cuff here, and you essentially get like a ram of air through the arm, and then kind of goes out the back. I can run to like high 80s, if not 90 degrees, as long as I'm moving in this and not bake, as long as I'm wearing, essentially what I'm wearing now. I mean, I would wear more technical garments. These are cotton, that would be terrible, but like polyester kind of, whatever, synthetic fibers, are fine underneath, and you just throw this on over top. It works really, really well. Okay, so what I hate. One, the collar situation is absolutely absurd. I don't understand why they would, like, it's a horrible, horrible design. The collar it's very, very tall. It doesn't cinch down hardly at all. You essentially have to fold it over in the back to even wear it. If you try to fold it up, it hits your helmet. Totally stupid. I keep it folded down 99% of the time. The back I always keep folded down because I can't wear it when it's up. The front, if you want to close it off, you have to flip it up and then connect it, but then there's a fold at the side to fold it down in the back because otherwise you can't wear it. Horrible collar design, makes no sense. That should be destroyed. I don't get it at all. That's terrible. The armor is not like, they should be doing CEL2 armor in a minimum now, or D3O or whatever the hell, in a garment like this. It's this expensive, it's this protective. They have their own proprietary armory stuff, which I don't know if it's certified or whatever it is, but like the other problem is, for the most part in this, the armor pieces they're weird sizes, so you can't even go and put in like your own better armor, especially in the shoulder armor pouches are completely bizarre size. I tried to put D3O on the shoulders, can't do it. The back pad, you can. The hips, maybe you could get away with. I'm not sure. I haven't tried the hips. The knee armor is enormous, and it's so big, I wouldn't even think to try to put something else in it. So I don't know. People rave about these things if they go down. Knock on wood, I don't ever have that experience. I feel like from an abrasion standpoint, I would be totally fine. The armor does sketch me out a little bit. So I have something I'll mention next about armor, but the other thing is, like, I know Aero Stitch suits are supposed to be ugly. That's just how they are. But, like, why did they make a green gray as the only gray? Like, this gray in the impact zone, that's a good gray. This gray is not a good gray. Ridiculous design choice there. So anyway, I will continue wearing this. You can kind of see it as I'm lifting it. It weighs like, I don't know, God, at least 10 pounds. I do feel very good in it and safe in it, and it is a great touring suit with just a few things that can easily be fixed that I don't understand why they're not fixing them. But anyway, so that's the R3. Over top of the R3, since, maybe the last 1,000 miles of the trip, I bought one of these, the Helite Turtle airbag vest. After thinking about this for quite a while, and I actually wish I had had it the whole trip, essentially this, you pull the back and chest armor out of that thing, wear this over the top. You tether it to the bike with this. There's a CO2 cartridge in here. You fly off the bike, it pulls, it inflates, it protects here, back. And there's a CEL2 back pad in here that actually protects the mechanism as well, which is pretty cool. I tried this on at Helite's warehouse in Reno to get it fitted and all that stuff. It's very, very tall. It is too tall for me. I had to do some stuff with the adjustment to make sure it didn't hit my helmet. And also it was pretty stiff, and now it's kind of broken in, and that's better. But between this and the Aero Stitch and the other gear that I tend to wear, I feel very, very good in terms of protection. I'm literally wearing, 20 pounds worth of gear at this point. I mean, this is pretty heavy too. It's probably 4 pounds. But I think for the most part, besides some of the armor in the Stitch, like, I think this is about as bomb-proof of a setup as you can get for highway touring. I would not wear all of this crap off-road, but for high-speed highway touring, I think they figured it out. Okay, so that's standard setup. I guess I might as well finish it out with the bottoms. Boots. I've done CD for a long time. I have CD, I think they were Way Rain boots before that I liked a lot, synthetic leather. I was told these are synthetic leather, but the book says that maybe they're not. I'm actually not sure if these are synthetic leather or not. I thought all CD was synthetic. I hope they're synthetic because I don't like to buy leather. These were very uncomfortable when I bought them. I have huge feet, so these are a size 47, which is 12.5, but they do fit. It was tough to figure out the fitment in terms of like these adjustments. The adjustments are actually super weird, but these get a gold star. Once they broke in and once they felt good on my feet, bomb-proof, waterproof, whatever. There's some plastic reinforcement or whatever it is, hard reinforcement around the ankles. I wore these off-road in the off-road class for 3 days. They have these pads for, to protect the boot from wearing through. The other ones did not, my other CDs, so it just wore through right where you would need to upshift. Like, how did they miss that in the design? Only thing with these, I guess, is 2 things. One, everybody says, oh, Gore-Tex is supposed to breathe. It doesn't breathe. These do not breathe. So I've been on this long quest to find good socks, which I think I found, which we'll talk about later. They also seem, for only having, maybe 8,000 miles on them at this point, they're really beat up. They're really worn here. They're really worn down here. And yeah, like boots are going to get beat up, but they were very expensive, and so I would expect them to be a little bit less beaten up. I even tried to figure out, should I be treating them with something? And CD's manual basically is like, just wash them or whatever or pat them dry or pat them off with like a damp cloth. Like, there isn't any treatment or anything for them. So I don't know. I would buy them again, but It is confusing that they are so beaten up for so little use, but I'm gonna put another, hopefully 6,000 miles on them this summer in much harsher conditions, so we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna do a camera check. Still recording. All right, so, and I will do a caffeination. Okay, next we'll do summer. So, as I said, the stitch over 90 degrees is miserable, and over 100 degrees, what they say on some of the endurance riding, like iron butt forums, essentially, when it's over 100 degrees, the wind is actually going to make things worse for you because it's going to dry you out, and you actually should close up your suit and do internal hydration. I get it. I get why you would want to do that, but it just feels wrong. And maybe I'm just, maybe I'm sabotaging, but like if you stop and it's 105 degrees and you're at a gas station and you try to even walk in between the gas station and the place, you're just gonna die. And on the bike with nothing blowing across, it's hard in such a big suit. So I have a separate summer set, which honestly I hate, but it's the beginning of something. I want to talk through it because partially as a reminder for me for later, but also just from a maybe like learn from my mistakes. Okay, so starting off, Liet pressure suit, and this probably is not what you expected me to pick up, but what I decided to do was get the armor in a base layer. This is the 3D Airfit, which has CEL2 front and back. I also upgraded the elbows to CEL2 with some Icon armor. The shoulders were a weird size, so this is still CEL1, which is not great, but this goes right up against your skin. I went down in this in the off-road class a couple of times. The only problem I had actually was, even despite it being up against the skin, the armor did move a little bit and gave me a bit of a brush burn, but it protected my joints, which is what armor is supposed to do, and I don't think if you fall, you're supposed to be totally unscathed. So this is the base. It's obviously very, very perf. You can kind of see the perforation there. So this is the base layer for the summer thing. This worked, I guess, and I did go down in it, and so I guess it gets a gold star. I don't know. I'm going to wear it very, very heavily off-road this summer. This is randomly sitting here. This is the Aero Stitch chest pad, which I took out because I used the Helite. Okay, over the Liet, I got this. This is the Revit Eclipse jacket, which is awful. This is their budget-priced, low-end, whatever, like summer perf jacket, which I thought, since I don't need the armor, because I have the armor in the Liet, I'll rip all the armor out, so I don't want to pay for good armor, and I assume just as a ballistic kind of abrasion layer, it would be fine enough. Itchy Boots, I believe, wears this over her Revit pressure suit. She's done, thousands and thousands of miles in the thing. I don't get it. This is a terrible, this is a terrible garment. The material is extremely light. I do not think this would protect me in a highway crash in the slightest. I think it would just rip. It is nothing. And also the fabric that they're using, I just don't understand. It reeks. For a summer jacket, like if you wear it one time and it absolutely reeks, that's a non-starter. So like in all my other stuff that I've worn in the summer, it's fine. Whatever, it works, but like including other Revit products, they work in the summer. This one wearing in high temperatures with whatever deodorant, blah, 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 it reeks. Then you wash it, and of course you wash it and it starts to fall apart immediately after one washing. So this is junk. Shame on Revit. I'm not going to wear this summer. This is horrible. So thumbs down on the Revit Eclipse jacket. Sadly, I have to give another thumbs-ish down on these. This is the BMW Summer 3. I put a lot of seasons on these because I've used these a lot back east. Pros, they're normal pants looking. They have zip-off bottoms, so you can use them as a pair of shorts at your destination, which is kind of cool. They have good storage. They don't look terrible. I mean, it's just kind of like a pair of light-colored khakis. I actually wish they were a little bit darker. Negatives. The hip pads were nothing. I upgraded them to CEL2 for this trip. Of course, their hip pad pockets are a non-standard size, so I had to cut some Icon D30 pads to put in here just to get something. So I did that. The knees, and this is not a problem with BMW, this is just me being short, but the knees, you know, even when I put them on, like the knee armor is completely below my knee, completely. Even on the bike, it's way too low. So that's a problem. I upgraded the knee armor in these with D30, and it takes up the entire pad, which is, or the entire pocket, which is cool, but it still didn't feel like it was protective enough. So I bought a separate set of knee armor to wear off-road. But the other thing with these is they just don't, they get the summeriness by having a light fabric, not by having mesh or vents or anything like that. And then you have light fabric problems, right? And so protection is compromised. So I know Bob Lilly wore these for like most of the Iron Butt rally, maybe last year or the year before. So obviously they're doable, but this did not really work for me. These are the Liet knee pads that I bought to wear under those. I went down on these in the off-road course. They were great. The only problem is if you don't wear them, and I learned this the hard way, if you don't wear them over a sleeve of some sort over your knee, they rip the hell out of your skin. I still, and this has been almost a month, I guess, or at least it's been 3 weeks. I have abrasions still all over my thigh from these. And these are LXL, and my thighs aren't that big, so you can't even go any bigger than this, I don't think. And so I did buy, I haven't worn them yet, I bought these, you know, Thor, whatever the hell these are called, knee sleeves, which I assume if I put them underneath, it'll save my knees next time. And I guess, you know, last but not least, in the summer, I was on this quest for good riding socks for summer because, like I said, those boots, it's just a swamp in there. I tried the Climb vented socks, which are expensive. They suck. They just get soaked, and then they just sit there and bake and stink. I tried my Revit Tour socks. They're okay, but they're not a summer sock, so they're pretty, your feet are just hot, so they sweat. I got these things called Eco socks from like a discount supply sporting goods store. They actually work pretty well, but they're like a one use. You know, you can barely do a whole day with them because while they keep your feet dry and they wick moisture, it holds it in the thing. It doesn't go anywhere. So they get very, very wet, and then they need to be very, very aggressively washed. They're not like, that's not the bathroom sink kind of wash, and they also take forever to dry, so they're not ideal. What it turned out to be ideal was literally the cheapest thing that I found, which is these Noru riding socks, and I bought like a million pairs of them because they were on sale. Like $6, MSRP is like 11, 12. So the Noru standard riding sock, feel cooler for longer. This was the only thing that worked. Gold star for these. I'm gonna do a camera check. Still recording. Okay. Next was this Camelback. So this is an old Lobo. They don't even make this anymore, but the reason I mention it is the bladder that was in it was falling apart. It was very, very old. This was an old mountain bike thing that I was using. I bought a new bladder from Camelback, the 1.5 liter, which was horrible. The mechanism, you have to be very, very careful to close it properly. You can't just go spin it on. If it's not perfectly aligned, it leaks like hell, which was very, very annoying. They required us to have these for the off-road class. I was just really disappointed in the new bladder that I bought. And also it doesn't really fit in here. They changed their shape a little bit. And 1.5 liters, as it turned out, was not enough for a really active day. So sort of thumbs down on this entire setup. I bought the Kriega / Revit pack, the 9-liter pack that goes up to a 3-liter bladder. So if that's the one that Itchy Boots is using in her travels, I think that's what I'm going to use this summer. But this was definitely a thumbs down. Okay. I guess we'll do wintery stuff now. There's a bunch of stuff in my winter bag. So this is my winter bag. This, I guess I should mention, all the stuff that I just showed you, all the summery stuff, that gets packed in, I think I mentioned this yesterday, but like, this is my other, this is my right-ish side, I guess. BMW dry bag. So summer sits in this and gets strapped to the top of that bag. So all that stuff went in here. Not ideal, and it also unbalances the load, but I hate having extra bags all over the place to carry around, so I just overloaded this with all the summer stuff. In the inside that bag is winter, which is this, plus all my tools and stuff like that. These are for later. So this bag, which has all my winter stuff in it, basically didn't get opened the entire trip. I didn't need any of it. But I will mention some of these things. One, rain covers for my gloves. I didn't need these because my gloves are waterproof. I brought them to wear over the summer gloves that I sometimes use. But as it turns out, if it's raining in the summer, you can just put the other Gore-Tex gloves on and it's fine. There's no scenario where I would have, and I rode through a lot of rain. Hot rain is barely a thing, and hot rain feels good. And if it's really hot and it's hot rain, who cares about your hands getting wet? And I literally carry 4 pairs of gloves with me, so this was stupid. I didn't need these. Gerbing heated heated jacket. Had this forever. I ride. This has taken me down to 15-degree, even 10-degree days back east. I use the controller. I should have mentioned it before, but I keep the controller for this in the pocket, one of the many pockets in the AeroStitch. I reached for this one time on one day in the snow on this trip, and then I was like, "This is too annoying to go put all this together for the 10 minutes I was going to need it for before I got to my hotel." So I didn't use this at all, but I'm glad I had it with me just in case. Hot chilies, long johns. I bought these maybe, 20 years ago. This is my only insulation for my bottoms. And I don't tend to get cold legs, so I don't really need anything like this, but I was glad to have it just in case, but I didn't use it. Where's the other one? These are Gore-Tex, they're sealskins, boot liners / whatever, Gore-Tex socks. I thought these would be good to just pull over if I had cold feet and didn't want to switch to a heavier weight sock. That never happened. They are very warm, but I didn't need them. Gerbing heated gloves. There are 2 of them in here somewhere, but glad I had these. Didn't wear them. I reached for them one time, almost put them. I actually put them on. Then I was about to go have to deal with all the cords and stuff like that, and I was just like, you know what, this is not worth it. Heated grips. I used those for any of the cold times, and they worked obviously pretty well. This was that buff that I mentioned, my standard winter buff. And finally, in the winter stuff is the Revit Winter Tour sock. These have gotten me through many, many cold winters riding between New York and Pennsylvania. I did not wear them one time. That might be it for the gear that is sitting all around me. What did I miss? Gloves. They're not in here. I guess I can talk about them and maybe show an overlay if I figure out how to do that in a video. So I used 3 different kinds of gloves. I used the Olympia vegan summer glove thing for very, very hot weather. I went down in those in the off-road class that I did. They were surprisingly fine. They have no armor, but they were thick enough that they didn't go through to the hand. So those were okay. They sketch me out to wear for interstate touring. There's not enough. I really would like, a thicker palm for something like that in case you go down. I don't know if that's science, but they don't have them. So I barely used those at anything that was a high-ish speed, except for that one day when it was like 105 and I was going between LA and Vegas and it was just awful. Then I used, for the 90% of the trip, I used the Climb Adventure Gore-Tex short glove. That was my do-everything glove. They're short, they're very protective, very armored, and Gore-Tex, which I don't even know if they need the Gore-Tex, honestly, because they're so short, so rain's going to go up your jacket anyway, but they were great. Love those. I would wear them again. The only thing is I wish the thumbs were a little bit longer because I still have some thumb cramping. And then the held warm and dry, which now is called the air and dry, is my other kind of colder weather glove. The purpose of them is to use with heated grips. So the inside is thinner because when you grip, the heat will transfer through. The outside is thicker, pretty cool design, works really well, and they're waterproof. Reminds me I need to waterproof them again to renew them probably with some spray or whatever. Those are the gloves. That stuff worked really well. What else is worth mentioning here? You know, I'm looking at this AV setup. You know, maybe I can show pictures of it later. It doesn't really matter. It's very low grade, but what I threw together actually, I guess, worked pretty well. So I got one of those. I think it's Moreslan. I don't know how you say it. Moreslan. Selfie stick things. This is the case, but it's in use right now, so I can't show it. But it's a selfie stick that extends, and then there's a tripod that goes in the bottom that you can twist on, which you can use as a selfie stick. You can use as a tripod. I filmed the video yesterday on the bike with it, or of the bike with it. I had to use pretty heavy image stabilization because in the slightest breeze, it gets very top heavy with the phone as the camera. That's my only gripe with it, but otherwise it compresses down really well. It's actually really great. And on top of it, I used, there's like a GoPro mount that then goes into just like a clip, a springy clip for the phone. That worked for any of my pictures that were of myself. And again, my pictures aren't that great. But literally every picture on this entire trip was taken with a Pixel 5 phone. And it worked out, as far as I can tell, it worked out pretty well. This thing is and I see that it flipped over and hopefully the audio didn't screw up. The Rode Wireless 2 single, which is basically, you know, it's a point-to-point mic, and then I have it going into the phone with USB. It was like, I don't know, normally this comes with two, but you can get the Wireless 2 single, which I think was like 169 bucks. You know, as far as I can tell, this is actually working really well. If you saw how it looked, you know, cords and stuff like that, it looks sort of ridiculous, but for my setup, that actually worked really well. What am I missing? I'll probably do one more of these and just sort of go through what's in each bag on the bike. There's not that much to talk through on that, but that's the rest of the gear. I guess I can talk about a little bit the packing situation. So I used mostly there's these Eagle Creek packing cubes. I had 3 of these in different sizes. This was sort of like socks and underwear. Then the slightly bigger one was all of my kind of like base layery, bikey kind of stuff, like all the technical fabrics. And then I had a bigger one, which was my kind of like not on bike clothes, which had like, you know, my camo pants that everyone has seen me wear, a pair of khaki pants, a pair of hiking pants, that kind of thing. And so, you know, I would essentially stack, I guess this is, I should probably figure out a way to show this, but I would stack the big bag in the bottom, this bag off to the side of it, the middle bag across the top of it, my toiletries next to that, and then this thing, which was just where all of my cords and stuff was. This is from Flight 001 luggage system. I have a bunch of these also. This is all my chargers and stuff like that. Lay this on the top. That made the bag, it's that yellow Wolfman bag that is in all my photos. That made that bag nice and round. You cinch it forward, and then you get the backrest. So essentially you leave the back pretty loose, cinch it as far forward as you can, both the inner strap and like the mounting strap, and then just like cinch the back just to keep it in place. That pulls it close enough to you, and so that, I mean, that saved the day for my low back on the trip. That might be it. So I will finish up with a few more on the bike, just going through what the rest of the gear is that is still mounted there and in my tank bag and in the back. But I'll do that in a little bit, assuming this video did not overheat and delete again like it did yesterday, in which case I'm not doing this again. Okay, so I guess this is the final part. I'll just go over basically what's in the bags and kind of show what worked and what didn't with this stuff. So left pannier here, I'm not going to bother opening it. I think it's actually locked, but left pannier just has literally spare water and the spare other BMW bag in it right now. There's nothing else in there. It's where I keep my backpack when I stop. And otherwise I keep that empty. It's mostly that for security. Tank bag, so Easy Pass from back east, which I need to remember to take with me. These are those Climb Adventure Gore-Tex gloves that I mentioned, which are my do-everything kind of glove. This was a pack towel, which I used only one time, but good to have. This sunscreen is badass. This Antilio stuff. It's very, very thin, but it works super, super well, and most sunscreen never works for me, especially on my nose. This stuff actually worked really well. These were eye drops, which I didn't need, surprisingly, which I've needed on other trips. And this has been sitting in the sun baking for so long that they're probably not safe to use anymore. I would not put these in my eye, so I should probably just throw these away. This was just CVS lens cleaner for various purposes, which are good. Leatherman, multi-tool, didn't need it, knock on wood. Hand sanitizer was good to have. Electrolyte pills, I don't leave home without these anymore. If you don't have Gatorade, chew these, mix with water, and I feel much safer in hot weather riding with these. This Neutrogena SPF 70 it's a stick for your face. I don't think this actually worked at all. I don't know. This thing is this silent pocket for all of the, this is essentially meant for people who think that everyone is stealing their, I don't know, whatever, like credit card stuff with scanners. I don't know if that stuff is real. I actually bought this though to keep my key in, because if you keep the key in here, and this is also, I actually bought this for my Tesla. If you keep the key in here, it doesn't communicate with anything, and it doesn't kill the battery of the key. So I have the wireless system on the GS, and so I keep this to keep the key in if I keep it on the bike. So yeah, that's the tank bag. Actually, that's the front of the tank bag. The back part of the tank bag, this little thing here. So these no noise plugs I did not like. I need to get rid of those. My slime tire gauge, which apparently has some kind of tool attached to it that I am not really sure what this tool is. Interesting. Chapstick. Earpiece, other earplugs that I did not like. Lighter for emergencies. This headlamp was awesome. It's an Energizer headlamp. You can use it either as a flashlight or with a head strap, and it's USB, micro USB or mini USB, whichever the hell I forget, to charge. That was pretty cool. This was like, I just grabbed this on my way out the door. It came with, it's by Xfinity, but essentially it's just it's a screwdriver, both heads. They sent it to me to replace something in my, like, I don't know, cable box or something like that, but that actually wasn't necessary, but I guess could have been handy. And then I don't know what else is in here, a quarter and some other chapstick. So that's that. If we go to the back, okay. Let's see, what's the best way to get an angle on this? All right, so these are those Olympia summer gloves that I mentioned earlier. These are the held gloves, which I also mentioned earlier. This is the Valentine one. This is a bag of GoPro stuff, which mostly I didn't use, partially because I didn't do that much videography, partially because the GoPro got lost when I decided I wanted to do videography. This was actually pretty good. This is this mini tripod that you can bend and clip to things or whatever, and it attaches, this mount point attaches to the holster for the phone. So I use this to take some of the sort of self shots. This is this new climb hat that I got for super sun protection, which seems to work. I haven't used it too much. This is just this canvas bag that I kept to put various things in, like snacks and bread and stuff like that I would get on the go. And then this thing is the mini. This is like a mini, what do you call it? Theracane, with different, it has these ends on it or whatever to do self-massage on your shoulders and upper back and stuff like that, which I used a couple of times when I was in dire straits. So I was glad to have it, but it's pretty bulky. And then this is GoPro, whatever accessories and stuff, which is also the case that the GoPro was kept in until it was lost. So that is pretty much rear case. And then finally, last but not least, is this side case. Okay, so on top of, so this case is actually where I keep the, as I mentioned before, this is where I keep the winter bag. That was a plane going by, so let's be annoyed with that. So the winter case goes on top, or winter bag goes on top of this, and all this other stuff basically stays in here. This, I don't know what it was, but it's empty. I think that was just a spare. This pack safe thing, I thought I would use a lot more. I used it twice, basically to like lock up my Wolfman bag when I was stopped. I don't know if I needed it. I guess I felt okay having it. It does way too much to keep dragging around, so I don't know if I'm gonna keep using this. These were these stick-on glove contacts to be able to use your phone. They worked okay, except the glue. When the glue on them goes bad, it really stains your phone. I bought this cargo net to dry laundry with, but it didn't really, I couldn't figure out exactly how I wanted to use it, so I never used it. Helmet bag, I will use that next time I fly. This was the Arm & Hammer shoe spray that I used after the off-road class, because like my boots really, really stank. It actually worked really, really well. This was a bag of, so it's clothes washing stuff, plus I used some, I just put a bunch of gloves in here in case I need to do any kind of like roadside maintenance. I didn't use any of that, but it was good to have. I don't know if I would bring the washing stuff along again. Emergency blanket. This was some extra just screws and stuff. I figured I would just start a collection. Medical kit. I bought this, I think, from REI. This was the owner's manual. This was some reflective strips and probably a bunch of, this was all these other stickers that I got that I thought one day I would maybe mount, which I didn't. Rock straps, just to strap other loads down. Didn't use these. This is my tool roll, which I don't think I really needed to use. This thing, this MicroStart, this is a giant battery pack that also can jumpstart the bike, and you can just use it, charge it over USB. This is very annoying because the thing that you have to charge this with, you have to use a pretty high amp USB-A charger, which I didn't have with me. So literally the only time that I was able to charge this was in one hotel that had high output USBs on the lamp. Luckily I didn't need it, but I need to fix that for next time. Tire plug kit, luckily didn't need that. And this is the tire inflator. This is a stop and go version. I'm going to keep this on this bike because I have a slime one at home that I'm going to use on my other bike this summer. So I think that is mostly it for bike stuff. I guess I can just show the one other pouch. The one problem with these is if you don't close it absolutely perfectly and make sure that there's no single thing that could possibly be interrupting the gasket, it will not close. So I guess The only other thing to mention is, I mean, I have this umbrella in here that I never used, and these earplugs, which are, this was what I ended up going with for the whole trip, which worked quite well compared to everything else that I had tried. These are just Howard Light, Max Light 30s. I used to run 33s, but my audiologist actually told me that 33s probably were actually overkill for what I was doing. These would be fine, and they would actually be a lot more comfortable in terms of like feeling like my brain was being destroyed by lack of input. So that was pretty interesting to learn. Yeah, so I guess that's it. So bike it really needs to be washed, I guess, because I think there's probably some salt from the sea or whatever from riding up the coast this weekend. But we're gonna put this away in a couple of days, store it with a friend, and then pause this adventure for a little bit, but then onward at some point.